Recording in progress.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. خب alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our study of Ādāb al-Salāt by the late Imam Khomeini. As you remember, I said that today we will expand on the topic of controlling the faculty of khayal, imagination. We already had a discussion from the book, and now we want to expand. One of the things that I found to be very useful is a paper, which it's very likely that it's the summary of a dissertation or thesis about this topic, published by the Journal of Philosophical Theological Research in Qom, volume 19, number 3, autumn 2017. The title of this article, which is in Farsi, is راه‌های مهار و تربیت قوه خیال بر مبنای حکمت اسلامی. In the abstract, the translation of the title is put in this way: the methods of controlling and training imaginal power on the basis of Islamic philosophy, by Mohsen Turkaman and Mitra Pursina. I mentioned these details in order to acknowledge their contribution and pray to Allah for their tawfiq. Also, when I was in Iran, I found this book. I hope you can see it. And yes, purchase this book also for maybe inshallah future when you want to expand. The whole book is Nafy Khawatir, how to stop bad thoughts coming to our mind as manzar wahy aql irfan, from perspective of revelation, reason and mysticism, by Ali Ghambariya. So inshallah in future maybe we can expand on this topic even more, but today I want to share with you something from the paper that I mentioned, and a little bit I will add points to it and explain. Before we go to the methods of controlling qawwa khayal, we need to familiarize ourselves more with this faculty or qawwa khayal. Although some people may translate it as power of khayal, but maybe faculty is better. We have two things in philosophy. One is qawwa khayal, one is qawwa mutakhayyileh, which are technically different, and sometimes people may make them, in the place of each other. Qawwa khayal is responsible for restoration of the images which are taken through our five senses and are perceived by hiss mushtarak. Hiss mushtarak, according to philosophers, is a faculty in our soul which brings whatever we see or hear or smell or taste or touch into one common place. It processes every perception, no matter belongs to this sense or that sense. Khayal is responsible for restoration. So when you are seeing something, that's perception. When you close, for example, your eyes, or you think about something which happened before, that is memory. Qawwa khayal is responsible for restoration of these images. Qawwa mutakhayyala is responsible for imagination and putting these things that we have perceived together, or even sometimes creating things which are not real. For example, you can imagine a person with 7 heads. You can imagine a human being with, for example, head of lion and body of, for example, human being. This is imagination. This is not real. So, Muslim scholars say that khayal, in addition to restoration of images that we have, has another function which is very important for us. What is that function? Is to give form to the meanings. Meanings are abstract, but our khayal can give surat, can give form to meanings, like tamathul. How, for example, an angel can take the form of a human being. تَمَثَّلَ لَهَا بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. Okay? This tamathul is to take form. Our khayal has ability to give form to the meanings. And this is something that it can be very useful, and at the same time it can be very distracting and deceptive. It depends how you use it and how you train it. We said from the book Ādāb al-Salāt that one of the great tasks of spiritual wayfarers is to control their qawwa khayal. But we should also know one of the best things that can help a person to have understanding of immaterial things is qawwa khayal. So we shouldn't think it's a bad thing and say, no, why Allah has created this in us. This is something very important, but if you control it, it helps you. If not, it can become a challenge. Allah says about human soul in general way, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ مَنْ زَكَّاهَا وَقَدْ خَابَ مَنْ دَسَّاهَا. If we purify our nafs, the same nafs would be great and would help us to reach falah and salvation. If we leave our nafs to itself and herself and don't look after it, becomes something wild, becomes something troublesome. Okay, this creativity of qawwa khayal is something that Muslim philosophers have discussed a lot. Therefore, they say, al-khayalu jubilat or jubilat lil-muhaqat. Khayal is made for muhaqat. Hikaya here means tamathul, means to give a kind of form to something which is abstract. Okay, now this was just a little bit of clarification about what we mean by قوة khayal. Let us see what Muslim philosophers have suggested about controlling قوة khayal, and something maybe we can understand from our text scriptures. Muslim philosophers like Ibn Sina, like Sheikh Ishraq, although they belong to two different schools of philosophy, one is the father of al-Madrasatul Masha'iyya, or peripatetic Islamic school of philosophy, which is Ibn Sina. The other one is Sheikh Shahabuddin al-Suhrawardi, which is the founder and father of Illuminationist school of philosophy. Okay, but both of them have this idea that there are two ways that قوة khayal can be engaged so that it wouldn't become too active or hyperactive. One is when you are busy with the five senses, حواس ظاهرة. For example, when I am seeing, I am talking, I am eating, I am reading, I am listening, my attention is spent in these senses, and therefore I am not that much free so that قوة khayal can make me busy. So اشتغال, engagement with حواس الظاهرة, is something that would control قوة khayal. Because when you are free and in an idle situation, you don't do anything, قوة khayal becomes more active. For example, Ibn Sina in Kitab al-Nafs, the book on soul, from Shifa, which is his one of his major and maybe the most expanded book on philosophy and other things related to intellectual sciences. He says, ثم إن القوة المتخيلة قوة قد تصرفها النفس عن خاص فعلها بوجهين. He says قوة متخيلة, which is here the one which is for imagination, connected to قوة khayal. Nafs can stop it from its own activities by diverting it towards something else. How can nafs does this sarf, this diversion? تارة مثل ما يكون عند اشتغال النفس بالحواس الظاهرة. When nafs, soul, is busy with five senses, which are the external senses that we have, because we have hawas al-batini, we have hawas al-zahir. So these five senses, when they are busy, then nafs is busy with them and would not leave that much energy and that much attention for قوة khayal and قوة متخيلة. وصرف القوة المصورة إلى الحواس الظاهرة. Our faculty which gives images and forms would be busy with our five senses. He also says in another book of him, al-Isharāt wa Tanbihat, which is very important, in its recent edition is 3 volumes. The second and the third volume are about philosophy. The first is more about logic. So he says the same thing in al-Isharāt wa Tanbihat. I think it's not in need of reading his text because it might be taking our time. The idea is clear. One sign of this fact that you can easily, test yourself is this. You see, when we are awake because we are busy with these five senses, then our khayal is not that active that it is when we are sleeping. When you are sleeping, eyes are closed, you don't eat, you don't drink, your ears hopefully are not distracted by too much noise, because if there are too much noise you cannot sleep. So you don't pay attention to sounds, noises, taste, smell. You are sleeping. When you are sleeping, you see khayal is very active. Khayal can create, stories, can create like movies for you. It's all over khayal. When you are awake, khayal doesn't have that much chance to take you to, world of imaginations. Although it's possible that, someone who is awake, keep thinking and, imagining. It's possible, but khayal would not impose itself that much. But when it is time of sleeping, the hands of khayal are open. So, for those who have a strong commitment, a strong nafs with taqwa, when they sleep, this khayal can help them in understanding new things. They can have true dreams. They can have encounters with the souls. It's very good. But for those who are not that strong, khayal is just like a child playing, going from this place to that place, and there can be dreams which are not making any sense. Although even these dreams which don't make any sense, a person who is expert can, understand something about the soul, but not in a very clear way, and direct way, like what we call roya sadiqah, or true dreams. Interestingly, in this paper also refers to the ideas of Imam Khomeini, and something that is new for you, because he sometimes refers to the book Ādāb al-Salāt, which we have discussed, but he refers also to a book which is about the lessons of Imam Khomeini on Islamic philosophy, lectures. This is taqrirat of philosophy, which is based on the lectures that he had on philosophy, compiled by someone called Ardebili. So in volume 3, page 409 of that collection of transcripts and reports about the lectures of Imam Khomeini says, according to this source, he says, because we are very busy with these natural things, then they have attracted us towards the material world. And therefore, we are heedless about other realms of reality. For example, the realities in Barzakh, where the souls are now, waiting for Qiyamah. Or mujarradat aqlani, the pure and complete uqul mujarradeh, not uqul insani, uqul mujarradeh, which is one of the 5 types of johar, which are completely actual. We are not able to go to the realm of uqul because we are so much attached to the physical material, which is the lowest realm of reality. So, engagement with material things through 5 senses keep khayal busy. So khayal would not take the lead to make us busy, but at the same time, this is depriving us from having leadership of khayal, if khayal is a good one, if it is trained properly and would want to take us to the higher realms. So you are saved from bad khayal, but you are not enjoying good khayal. Okay? Another thing is that in Salat, we don't want to be engaged with what we see and what we hear. Maybe for outside Salat, when bad thoughts come to your mind, it's good to make yourself busy by reading something, listening to, for example, a recitation, going to a park. It's good. You don't let bad thoughts keep coming to your mind. But what about Salat? Should I, for example, make myself in Salat busy with what I see, what I hear, what I smell, so that khayal doesn't, extract my attention? This is not very helpful. The answer is that there are other ways to engage khayal. This was something that you needed to know, and Muslim philosophers have said, and it can be used mostly outside Salat to make it busy with hawas al-zahirah, and maybe also inside Salat to some extent. For example, maybe one reason that in the Salat we should keep our eyes open is this. Maybe that by keeping your eyes open, and for example, when you are in ruku, you look between 2 feet, or when you are standing, for example, you look at place of sajda. Maybe the reason is that this would bring some concentration and wouldn't make khayal very much free. Maybe. But in general, this is not very good for Salat, to be engaged with seeing and hearing, etc. I would like to just mention quickly, because we mentioned this point about eyes in the Salat, that Maraja have different opinions about this issue. For example, sometimes they say it is makruh to close your eyes. Normally, there is this fatwa. I just want to share with you something from some Maraja. For example, Ayatollah Makaram Shirazi, he was asked about closing eyes in the Salat, and he said it is makruh. Normally they say it makruh, but he says, اگر راه حضور قلب منحصر به آن شود, if the only way to have presence of heart is to close your eyes, مستحب بودن آن بعید نیست. It's not unlikely to say that it's mustahab to close your eyes, if this is the only way to have presence of heart. Ayatollah Khamenei was also asked about, is it okay to close your eyes in order to have concentration of your senses and attention? He said, بستن چشمها در نماز مانع شرعی ندارد، گرچه در غیر رکوع مکروه می باشد. He said it's not problematic to close your eyes in Salat. It's not something that makes Salat problematic, but it is makruh apart from ruku. In ruku is okay, apart from ruku it's makruh. But Ayatollah Makarim says not only there is no problem if it is for presence of heart, it is even possible to maybe say that it's mustahab to close your eyes. Although generally they say it's makruh, you should open your eyes. But he says that for concentration, it's okay and can be even mustahab to close your eyes. Ayatollah Safi Gulbaygani Rahmatullah Alayh seems also had the same or similar idea that karaha is not there if it is for presence of heart. So what is the connection? I repeat, maybe one reason why we should keep our eyes open, if it doesn't damage our presence of heart, is to bring our khayal into a condition which is controlled. Because when you see your place of sajda, etc., hopefully that would not let your khayal free, because you are engaging your nafs with something that you are seeing. This was the whole point that most of the philosophers say, that qawwa khayal can be controlled by ishtighal al-nafs bil-hawas al-zahira. Okay, we'll mention a little bit more about salat later when we talk about tamarkuz or concentration. The second thing which is more important for us for salat is that when nafs, instead of being busy with hawas al-zahira or five senses, nafs is busy with thinking. Qawwa aqileh, our rational faculty, is functioning and active. Sometimes people, when they see or hear or smell, they have focus, so khayal is not very open-handed. Sometimes when they are deeply engaged in thinking, and this is very good for us for salat, if we can be engaged in thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about His attributes, His actions, His love for us, our responsibilities towards Him, about the meaning of what we say. If we can keep thinking about this would help us not to be a victim in the hands of khayal, which is not tamed and trained. Ibn Sina mentions this in Shafa, and he says one time that khayal can be controlled is عند استعمال النفس إياها في أفعالها التي تتصل بها من التمييز أو تميز والفكر. When you are thinking and trying to distinguish, then nafs is busy and khayal cannot be open-handed. Also in Isharat he has something like this. Sheikh Ishraq also has similar idea. For example, he says المانع عن انتقاش الحس المشترك عن الخيال أمران. The first one is this: عقلي باطن يشغل المتخيلة في الأفكار. The first one is something internal, which is when afkar are making nafs busy, our thoughts. So thinking is very powerful way of controlling your khayal and gives you presence and concentration, presence of heart and concentration. The third thing that can be said is concentration, or what we say tamarkuz. This is one way of controlling khayal. When you try to bring the attention of the soul to one point, like laser, how laser is so powerful, because it concentrates radiations of light which are scattered into one point. If we manage to have this concentration, we can do a lot. Sometimes you see people with concentration even physically become so powerful. They can break, maybe several marbles with hand, but with concentration. People can do many things with concentration, let alone the soul. If these changes happen in the body, which is indirect through soul, imagine what happens inside the soul. So when there is chaos in us, when there is a scattered, attention, then khayal can do whatever he wants. Actually, everyone rebels. Imagine if there is an army, the commander is not there, or the commander is not doing anything, does not exercise, anything. Then every person in the army may decide to do something different. Or if there is an office, there is no good manager, or manager cannot speak, everyone then can do something. It becomes chaos. Especially, please remember that our senses and our faculties, they love their work. So if you don't give them direction, they keep doing things. Eyes want to see what they want. Ears want to listen. Nose wants to smell. They love what they do. You need to tell them, okay, you do this much, you do this much. Now it's time for another thing. Otherwise, they keep just functioning, and you become exhausted and you cannot achieve anything. So this concentration is very important. Allama Tabatabai Rizwanullah Ta'ala says, maybe one reason for asking Muslim to say their prayer towards Qibla is this. In addition to having unity among all Muslims in the world, where they all have the same direction for the Salat, maybe it has also something spiritual in its legislation. And having this direction towards Mecca helps us in concentration. It's very important. Allah in his legislation doesn't consider only one point. There can be tens of points in his legislation. One ruling maybe is serving many different purposes. Some we understand, some we don't understand. So there can be different reasons why we should say our salat towards Qibla. One can be this one. He says, وحدت درونی و فکری ایشان. So not only it helps with وحدت ظاهری, to have unity among Muslims which can be noticed by everyone, but it can also help Muslims to have inside a kind of unity, a kind of concentration, a kind of focus. Also, again, going back to the issue of opening your eyes. It is so important to have focus of mind that some people say, if with closing your eyes you can have presence of heart and focus, it's not makruh to close your eyes. The fourth thing is tawahhud. I'm sure it comes to your mind, what's the difference between tawahhud and tamarkuz? What is the difference between unification and concentration? It comes to your mind. The answer is they are related, but they are different. Concentration or tamarkuz is momentarily. It's something about the present time. I try to focus. But unification means you make whole your life into one direction, one journey. You have aims and ends that you want to achieve, and your ultimate end is nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not just having concentration at this time. It means having a unified approach to life throughout your life. To have one concern as your main concern. Or to have one color which you want to paint your life. Sabqat Allah وَمَنْ أَحْسَنُ مِنَ اللَّهِ السَّبْقَةِ. If you have listened, if or not, please listen. I had a lecture about how to divide our day and distribute our time. And then at the end, I mentioned this topic of making everything just with one color, making everything with one direction. The late Ayatollah Hasanzadeh Amuli, he says, فَعُلِمَ أَنَّ الْهَمَّ الْوَاحِدِ هُوَ سَبَبُ انْقِحَارِ الْمُتَخَيِّلَةِ لِلنَّفْسِ. So he says something in addition to what we learned from Ibn Sina and Sheikh Ishraq, but maybe in the same line of their teaching, but he introduces something new. He says, having one concern is the cause for making the faculty of imagination subordinate to nafs, under control of nafs. وهو يحصل في السلوك الإنساني من المراقبة التامة. If you have complete muraqabah and self-monitoring, then you will reach this point that you have only one concern. You have only one plan for your life. So this would certainly make your salat also benefit from this kind of unifying approach. If you ask a lover in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, what are you thinking about? He would say, I'm thinking about my beloved. What is the last thing that you think about it when you want to go to bed? My beloved. When you wake up, what comes to your mind? My beloved. So a wayfarer who has only one concern in life, then automatically always is thinking about that one. This leads us to the next issue, which is muraqabah. If we have continuous muraqabah, self-monitoring, and make sure that we watch our thoughts and only let those which are productive, useful for our main aim and goal to remain, and whatever is not useful, we ignore it, we don't let it take our attention, then we can, be successful. There's a story that Ayatollah Hasanzadeh Amuli, reports from Allama Tabatabai, Rizwanullah Ta'ala alayh, that whenever muraqabah is done better, then when they have spiritual, mystical experiences and they have some new ways of understanding, it's clearer. Tamathulat is clearer. It's like when you have better muraqabah, your dreams are better, more meaningful. And when you are awake and you have some vision, some experience, mystical experience, they become clearer. Muraqabah is like a filter that not only refines our actions, doesn't let us do bad things, would refine our thoughts, our attention. So muraqabah is very important. In Risalatul Wilaya, there is a discussion about muraqabah and Allama's instruction about muraqabah. Alhamdulillah, we studied Risalatul Wilaya for the Patreon on Islamic mysticism, and the lectures The summary of them are available. The rest are available in Patreon. Maybe inshallah, if you are interested, we can share with you the link for the whole series on Risalatul Wilaya, which is considered to be, after Al-Mizan, maybe the most important work of Allāmah Tabatabai. It's not very detailed. It's a very short book, but very powerful. Imam Khomeini also had this idea of muraqabah in what we discussed last week, and he said that the major method is to do the opposite. When something is brought by khayal, you try to not go after it, and you try to safeguard your attention. We can start this with a short period of time. Maybe you can say, okay, I try to be 5 minutes controlling my thought, 10 minutes just controlling my thought. Then it can be for hours, inshallah. Whenever there is better muraqabah, then the wayfarer can better benefit from the khayal in productive way. There is also something interesting here, which maybe you have heard from, hadith of, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ayatollah Mutahari mentions this. Allāmah Tabatabai mentions this. It's a beautiful hadith that Rasulullah is quoted as saying, لولا تكثير في كلامكم وتمريج في قلوبكم لرأيتم ما أرى ولسمعتم ما أسمع. Had it not been that you speak too much and you let unwanted thoughts go around in your heart, you would have seen what I see and you would have heard what I hear. Or we have another hadith, غضوا أبصاركم ترون العجائب. Close your eyes, you will see wonders. What does it mean? It means that if you manage to control your senses and then your thoughts, then you will gain access to the other realm, which is the higher realm, which, as I said, something that we need actually here, Qawway Khayal, to help us to understand things and to give forms to the meanings, etc. Another thing which is very important, I'm trying to make things brief and inshallah finish soon, is sidq, truthfulness. In many lectures we have talked about truthfulness. In Akhlaq of Hawza, we had several lectures on truthfulness. In Indicators of Piety, we had discussions about truthfulness in many places. And whatever we say about truthfulness is not enough. It's one of the most fundamental, and in my humble view, actually it's the most fundamental value in Islam. To be truthful. Seeking the truth, welcoming the truth, accepting the truth, acting upon the truth, sharing the truth, being a witness for the truth, of course all of it with wisdom, are all related to being truthful. So it's not just to tell true things, it's more than that. Quran praises even prophets by being Siddiq. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ أَنَّهُ كَانَ صَدِّيقًا النَّبِيِّ. Or Lady Maryam, أُمُّهُ صَدِّيقَةٌ. Siddiqa, a very high quality. So, if you want to be able to have control over your khayal, whether you are awake or you are asleep, it is very much a matter of how truthful you are. if you are truthful in every aspect of your life, this automatically brings discipline to your khayal. Those who are truthful, their dreams are better. Those who are truthful, their dreams are better. For example, Ibn Sina says that dreams of truthful people are more accurate and more reliable. He says, when you are used to lies and corrupt thoughts, then your khayal is misbehaved, because mistrained. Because khayal is not under control of rational faculty. One of our contemporary philosophers and mystics and poets who also translated the Quran and Mafatihul Janan is the late Ilahi Qumshi. The late Ilahi Qumshi. He says that one of the conditions for having true dreams is to tell the truth and to be a truthful person when you are awake. Ayatollah Hassanzadeh Amuli says that when there is truthfulness and sincerity of the niyyah, of intention, and sincerity of the heart, then your mystical findings, your mystical intuitions, mystical experiences all become more clear, more reliable, and more useful. And this is why in our hadith it is said that we should not tell lies even as a joke. As a joke, also we shouldn't tell lies. For example, we say something in lie, and then later we say, I just wanted you to laugh, for example. You say that was not the truth. You tell yourself, that this was not the truth. You didn't want to deceive him forever. You just wanted him to laugh, for example, something. We should not tell lies even as a joke. So this helps us in controlling khayal, because then khayal just follows aql and at the service of the truth. Another thing is about mizaj. This is about traditional medicine. Unfortunately, in modern medicine, despite lots of good things, lots of advancements, they are not very much paying attention to human body and different conditions of human body. Some people have a kind of disposition, mizaj, which is hot. Some people have disposition which is cold. Some have a humid disposition, some have dry disposition. And these have differences in your behavior, because body and soul are very much interacting with each other. For example, Allama Tabatabai says, heat and coldness, or internal things like illness or change of mizaj, disposition, as well as a stomach being full or tiredness, all these kind of temporary or more fixed conditions of the body can have impact on our dreams. Ibn Sina, who himself was a great also physician, he says the best experiences that people can have is when they have balanced disposition. For example, he says, those whose disposition is dry, they are better in preservation, but they are more difficult in acceptance. So they accept with difficulty, but they lose also with difficulty. Those whose disposition is humid, they accept more quickly, but also stop more quickly. Those whose disposition is hot, their motions are very changeable, and those whose disposition is cold, then their level of understanding may come down. So it's good if we can have a healthy and balanced diet and look after our disposition. In traditional medicine, they tell you, based on your disposition, what type of food or drinks you should have, which would match your disposition. Ibn Sina says, if you want to have productive use of khayal, one point is i'tidal mizaj, balanced mizaj, disposition. One is to have the habit of being truthful and telling the truth. And the third is to keep part of the night, especially last part, sahar, to keep awake. It helps in controlling your khayal. And the last thing, but inshallah, because it's time of salat, maybe I will explain a little bit at the beginning of next session, is repeating verses of 54 to 56 of Surah A'raf, ayat which are there for cancelling magic, but also very important ayat which helps for controlling khayal and peace of mind for everyone. Not everyone suffers from magic, but many people suffer from not having control over khayal. Inshallah, we'll talk about this ayat and what we have a hadith from Amir al-Mu'minin about this ayat, a beautiful story, and what Ayatollah Hassan Zadeh Amali has sent about this ayat and controlling khayal in the beginning of next session, inshallah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us with having one direction in our life and not deviating from that, and that is to aim at reaching Him and pleasing Him and being close to Him, inshallah. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us balanced disposition, health of body, of mind, of heart, of soul, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us lots of opportunities to bring good to ourselves and to this world, inshallah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Do you have any question, any comment?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
You just mentioned lastly, if you want to be productive, to have productive use of your khayal, be truthful, have a balanced disposition, and the last part I missed it. You were talking about staying up part of the night. Is that what you said?
Keep awake in sahar, before
Okay.
Fajr and after Fajr.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Salam, Sheikh. I have a
Alaykum
question.
assalam. Bismillah.
Bismillah. I just want to confirm. You said Imam Khomeini. He said when we're busy with the five senses, they keep us trapped in dunya, and instead of reflecting on other realms like barzakh, we're not able to go to the realm of, is it uqul? I didn't get that. The realm of uqul, is
Yes.
that what it's called?
Yes. Uqul. Uqul.
Uqul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we have realm of material things,
Yes.
or realm of semi-material and semi-intellectual things, which is barzakh, and we have realm of uqul, which is completely immaterial. But uqul here is not human intellect. Uqul means those beings which are completely immaterial. They have no potentiality. Everything is actual. So when you study Islamic philosophy, they tell you Jawhar, substance, has 5 types. One is aql, which is this meaning. Second is nafs, which is human soul. And there are other types of soul. And the third is jism, three-dimensional things. And then madde and surat, form and matter.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I hope inshallah you get chance to listen once again to the lecture, because we talked about many different things. I think you need one more time to listen inshallah and do mubahasa so that you can absorb and then start implementing inshallah.
Yes, I'd just like to note though, last week's lecture wasn't uploaded yet, just to let you know, your team.
It is uploaded but not made for public yet, but let me see if I can find it right now and share with you here. Just a moment. Yes. I hope. Did it come? Yes.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. So before I close, if you want to open or save this link, and inshallah later it become public, but right now inshallah this gives you access. التماس الدعاء في أمان الله.